Hi, kids. Space Ghost here, answering the phone for my pals at The New Way. They're off screening a new motion picture about somebody with some sort of a back sore that has teeth and can talk and send messages from the back to people and make them do stuff. It's like a hypnotic, some sort of a planter's wart. Leave your message at the tone, and when the boys are done reviewing, they'll call you back jiffy quick, as if a bunny scampering through a leafy glade. Thank you for calling The New Way. I can't stop it. The damn thing went dark. It won't stop. I can't stop.
Oh, my God.
Yes, I knew that you loved me too. Oh, as you wish.
Open up my evil eyes, 'cause I'm just a vampire. I am John McClane. Everybody wants to be naked and famous. Everybody wants to be just like me and naked.
Will you help teach me about this? What is it? A new way?
Welcome to the New Way podcast, coming to you from Last Bite Production Studios in Boynton Beach, Florida. We are in studio with Matt, Ben, Nick, and our new friend, the Yes Kid.
The Yes Kid,
crack kid.
the Yes Kid Weeble. What is the name of this thing? It's an instrument that looks like a
Okinawa. It's got some very Japanese name to it.
Okay.
It's like
I don't
the
think that's what it's
Okinawa
called.
of time or something. But
it's ocarina, and it looks like a musical note that opens up with a face, and then you can.
it's the most annoying toy ever invented, and I love it.
It's sort of like it has the same like precision as a theremin. It's all just a mixed bag.
Nick, play us some Star Wars.
Wait.
Fascinating.
That was a big mistake.
What a great lead-in for our podcast this week.
Boy, I bet people are really excited to hear a musical by us guys, because we definitely got what it takes.
At one point, I swear I played the Game of Thrones theme song perfectly in one take. Remember that?
Sure.
You remember that. It was completely by luck, but...
I don't know that ever happened. But
anyways, you can say again about how we were having the all of our podcasts lined up for the coming month.
Well, we were, but they don't know that because
they
they
don't
didn't
know that.
hear any of that. But anyway, they don't
God
care.
damn it, Ben.
Look, they don't
This
care.
is our second intro, okay?
Yeah,
we'll come clean.
They don't
We
care
tried
about
recording a second ago, and the computer stopped for some reason. This is our second go.
We fucked up. It was bad.
And you let the cat out of the bag, Benny.
It's still recording now. We're all eagerly watching to make sure that it is still recording. I guess it cut off like way earlier last time.
I think you hit the space bar with your folder.
Oh,
Space
the old
bar.
space bar with the folder trick.
Space bar stops. Just
That'll
so you know.
get you
Look that up
every time.
Look that up in Urban Dictionary, kids.
Give her the old space bar stop.
Give it the old space bar stop.
So thank you for joining us. I wanted we've got a few podcasts coming up. Hopefully you were kind of in a good block of 4 or 5 in a row here. We also are going to have our number one fan, Greg Klein, in studio next month for a podcast.
But he's more than a fan.
He's one of the
He's a friend.
He's a fan, family, friend,
He's a fan.
lover, and bearded gentleman. But a gentle bearded gentleman, much like he's like the Nick Offerman of podcast fans. So when he's not busy listening to the Joe Rogan podcast or the Howard Stern show, he listens to The New Way.
Wow.
And I think that's pretty good company
And
for us.
I think everyone should follow his example.
I think everyone... Look, this is a man that devotes most of his day to podcasts.
And
he has
fine
chosen us.
comedy.
He has chosen us, so we think that's pretty awesome. So we have a really special episode this week. Actually, it's a little bit off of our normal kind of groove on things. It's also a really good companion piece to episode 13, where Ben and I discussed our favorite film musicals. And the reason why it's a good companion is, Nick, why don't you tell us what you pitch to us as the idea for this podcast?
Well, every time we pile in the studio to do the podcast, Matt goes, I wish we talk about musicals instead of movies all the time, you guys. I love musicals. Why can't we just talk about musicals?
My voice is way more annoying than that.
You're doing a very poor Matt Shank
My
impression.
I
I think it should be more like this. Why aren't we doing musicals?
Oh my god.
Oh my god, I'm Gordon Cole from Twin Peaks. Oh my god, I've been doing this my whole life.
Well, like that,
Albert.
like that moment, you were about to realize your dream today because
Oh, boy.
the theme of today's podcast is take a
Unicorns?
well, that's going to be next week. We saved that for Greg Klein.
All right.
Pick a pre-existing film property and pitch it as a musical.
Wow. So we, of course, so Nick goes, I don't know if you guys are going to like this topic. It's a little off. And I'm like, Ben and I first bonded over Into the Woods, recasting Into the Woods for a movie version in like 2009.
2009.
Marilyn Manson as the baker was a really odd call.
Nick and I first bonded over the Mega Man musical and Little Shop of Horrors at Ben's bachelor party in Chattanooga, Tennessee, before the geese attacked you.
Well, first off, please don't ever mention my pathological fear of geese again on air. And secondly, it's not a Mega Man musical. That doesn't exist yet. It's the Proto Men, who have written several rock
It's a rock
operas.
It's a music. Look, for those of us that grew up in... I'm wearing a West Side Story Star Wars mashup shirt. It's a fucking musical. You can call it a rock opera all you want. I know what it is. That's just a churched up musical.
Caption Dark Side Story for everyone who
Yes.
can't see a podcast, which is everyone.
Yeah. I get to it. They'll figure it out. They'll be like, what is that shirt? They're going to think about
My
it the
God.
whole time. Right.
Keep them up at night.
So what we're going to do for this podcast is each of us is going to pitch our movie adaptation musical.
This is going to be fun.
And we're each going to get about 15 minutes or so to pitch our show, mostly uninterrupted. We'll see. I think there will probably be some people who want to speak up.
So just so I'm clear, because
Yes.
I just want to make sure, because mine isn't really a pitch. I just wanted to discuss my creative impulse. I don't want to pitch you guys. I just want to discuss it.
By the way, guys, we were going to do this podcast about 17 years ago, and Ben was like, I'm still working on that last act. It's not coming together yet.
You guys do realize
Can
that
we push the podcast? I'm not done recording my song yet.
I scrapped all that crap.
You
actually.
did?
Yeah.
What I love is
Why?
I love that Ben sent me his songs. So Ben sent me his songs with a big subject line saying "Don't listen." So all I have though, but he titled all of them.
Yep.
And I'm like, shit. I've been trying to guess what your musical is. Which is why we're gonna do Ben's last. But we are gonna start with the man who came up with the podcast. Nick Santacroce is gonna come out of the gate strong and show us how it's done. So Nick, what's your musical?
Well, my pitch is this. A very recent rash of popular off-Broadway musicals is horror-themed. Like, I know you guys saw Evil Dead, the musical, in Tampa, right?
We
Didn't you see
sat in
them?
the Splash Zone.
Fort Lauderdale, we did. We put on-
We went to
Oh.
Nova Southeastern, and then we sat in the Splash Zone, put on
amazing.
fucking raincoats, and got bled on.
And it was
Bled on.
well, we were expecting more of a spray, but it was really just a drizzle of paint water that would
Come from the ceiling.
Like someone's killed and it would go drip. Drip, 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 drip,
And you say drip, 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 and meanwhile my wife is sitting right under the fucking deluge. I look over there and it's like she's sitting under fucking Niagara of blood, and Matt's just dry as a fucking bone. And he's like, it's not that bad. And I look over at my wife, and she's just glaring at me, just like as like blood is pouring off of the side of her like this fucking awful it was one of the cheapest like ponchos that you could ever give somebody. And so it's like leaking in there and all sorts of shit. Anyways, that was a lot
Meanwhile,
of fun.
Beth looks like she's at prom at a Stephen King novel.
Yeah, exactly.
And Ben's wearing sandals, so he just has bloody feet for like the rest of the day.
I had
and
bloody
hands.
feet. We went to the bar.
Disgusting.
I had like blood all over my legs. and
We
feet.
all looked like so I had blood on my hands, and then like there was a little bit, but it got off my shoes. And Ben just had bloody hands, a little bit in his face, and just very bloody feet, which raised the question: what was this man doing?
Right, exactly. What
that
crime
only
scene did
his
this guy
feet
come from?
And hands got bloody.
Well, listen, I'm jealous that you guys got to see that one, and it played in Vegas. It's still playing in Vegas.
It is. I almost went and saw it when I was out there.
And I listened to the songs, and it's great, right? But my favorite was actually Reanimator, the musical. I saw that 4 or 5 times in LA.
We watched that here when you first moved in.
Oh my god! Well, they're actually finally for the first time they're recording the actual score.
Oh, nice.
And Herbert West is a friend of some guys I went to high school with. Graham Skipper, who is just an unbelievable Herbert West, and they're finally going to be a cast recording for you guys to check out later in the year. But the reason I bring that up is horror really had a renaissance as musicals, and they found out, hey, maybe this isn't a Broadway show, but this is going to kill with interactive elements like blood and vomit. And at one point, there were brains and intestines handed, passed across the front row in Reanimator. Sure. And I started thinking, okay, well, I'd love to capture that sort of feeling, that kind of fun rock opera feeling with a couple, twists along the way. But horror's kind of tapped out. What about the action film genre? Have there been any musical adaptations of a pure, like, Expendables or...
Spider-Man Turn on the Dark?
Turn Off the Dark?
No. It turned on the dark for me.
All right.
Yeah.
That's a rock opera. It's not. That's a comic book film. I don't count that. And for the record, now you stepped on my Bono and the Edge joke I was gonna make for my actual pitch. So thank you for that. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Die Hard, the musical.
All right.
Oh, going right in.
Oh, I assumed that was the
That's
cue
okay.
when
Let's
you
go with
pointed
it.
to me. I can stop.
Wait. Listen to that little ode to joy there.
Oh, I hear it.
Right?
You didn't have to point it out.
We got it.
Christmas Eve in West LA, and I'm rolling up in style. Fresh off a plane from New York City, with a driver named Argyle. Gotta find my wife, Holly. Gotta make amends. Gotta open up my heart to her first. I gotta meet her friends.
You're very country, John McClane.
By the elevator.
I tried to church it up.
There's a douchebag with a stupid beard, and he's doing a bunch of
Blow. I knew it was coming.
This party really sucks. I mean, who has a company Christmas party on Christmas Eve? I mean, come on. What did that man tell me to do again? Take my shoes, my socks off, make a fist with my feet in the carpet? Ah, I'm feeling more relaxed already.
break out on the party floor. Grab my thumb and forget my shoes. Cram myself into an office bench. Use a Sharpie to remember who's who. A German guy singles out a man so he can steal the code for his balls. It doesn't go so well for him, cause it ends in a deadly assault.
I like the Neil Peart.
Yeah.
Covered in dirt, and my feet really fucking hurt.
I'm getting jazzed up with this right now. Yeah. Yeah, I want to fuck some shit up. Yeah.
Thank you, GarageBand.
I'm turning Rupert's drones to toast. Send a message to that schmo.
Good Wilhelm there.
Now I've got a machine gun. Oh, 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 oh. The copper family matters is now turning around. Can't lose when I've come this far. So I throw a henchman's corpse out the window on the hood of his car. Welcome to the party, pal. That's what I call raising morale. This Christmas I will try not to die hard.
Heard.
Some Gadwell Lane harmony right there.
Throw the bag of C4.
It still just sounds like something that Trey Parker and Matt Stone would record.
And now that you've said it, Ben, really the drum track is a major star in this piece. I gotta say, it's.
I want to hear.
I
Whoa.
You guys couldn't have chosen now to talk over my song, but you talked over my favorite goddamn verse. You sons of bitches.
That's what I was trying not to do. I was trying to.
Trying to do. I didn't know we were gonna have like a.
2, 3.
I built in this portion for you assholes to talk over.
You gave me no notes.
Kyle remembers when he shot that kid. He hadn't drawn his gun and Victor stayed. But when Carl popped up, he fucking blew him away. Nothing's under control, and I need some Dr. Scholl's. This Christmas satisfied all the odds.
At least until we get to all the other sequels.
So, this track is sort of a amalgamation of the entire. It's more like the sizzle reel, if you will. Kind of indicative of the feel of the entire musical. Some of my song tracks kind of step on some of the lines in here, but you know what? I'm gonna hit you with the cast.
Okay.
And also, to be fair, I go on here. It's a little masturbatory, I have to admit. But Matt, you gave me some really good ideas here, and credit where credit is due. You casted my John McClane, which is kind of a slam dunk. It's going to be Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
Not only can play it physically and has the action movies on his resume, he's a very gifted
Of course.
Broadway performer in his own right.
I guarantee we all chose similar.
Opening
Ish.
night, like everyone's like filing into the theater, and like Hugh Jackman walks up on stage, and just immediately the door opens in the back, and Bruce Willis walks in really slowly and sits down in the front, and just sits there and crosses his legs.
Well, we also know that Hugh
can't
Jackman
sing.
looks great in a wife beater, so he's
Yep.
a perfect fit.
It's true. Maybe without the mutton chops this time, but Hugh Jackman also funny guy. This is gonna be a comedy. Okay.
Oh.
And I was thinking, who's gonna write the music?
Wait, Die Hard's going to be a comedy.
I see this as a huge comedy because what made Evil Dead and Reanimator the musical work so well is it embraced the sort of not just the horror but like the innate silliness. And I think that if you try to make a really deadly serious action musical, you're gonna stumble and you're gonna get Julie Taymor presents Spider-Man in Turn Off the Dark, you know? So for music, I was thinking maybe go Stephen Trask, who did Hedwig, where the music is maybe in tune, but the sense of humor maybe isn't. So I Googled who did the music to the Broadway version of School of Rock, and it was Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Right.
I don't know. I'm not prepared to maybe give him the reins. Maybe Andrew Lloyd Webber can do the music and somebody else can do the lyrics. But moving along, kind of an obvious choice here. But Kristen Chenoweth as Holly Gennaro McClane.
There you go. That's a good one.
She's got kind of the comedy part down packed too, and she can play off of Hugh there, and she's definitely got the pipes.
She's got the tits.
Yeah. Now, okay, I wasn't gonna say that, but Hans Gruber, of course, can only be played by one man. And that one man is Mandy Patinkin. Mandy Patinkin is
God damn it.
Hans Gruber
God damn
in
it.
Die Hard the musical.
Well, he may have a schedule.
Did we all cast Mandy Patinkin? We all cast Mandy Patinkin, didn't we? I thought maybe.
conflict.
Okay, this is the thing. Like, I picture Mandy Patinkin like getting this role and like tackling it in earnest, like studying up on Rickman's performance and like
On German, angry
get
Germans.
get his German accent down, and I feel like he would take it too seriously and miss the theme of the musical. But that's what was gonna make it even better, right? Him just really taking big
He's part of
dramatic
the
swings.
satire. I like it.
Come on, Hugh Jackman against Mandy Patinkin. It would be amazing, especially when Mandy Patinkin drops character and pretends to be the normal American. That part would be the best. But we got now for Sergeant Al Powell, of course, played by the legendary rest in peace Reginald Val Johnson, who played a cop. Who played?
Rest in peace.
Oh, he's dead.
Reginald Val Johnson's not dead.
No, he's not.
Are you sure?
He's alive.
Yeah, he's alive.
He was just
He
on a
is?
sitcom like the other day.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh no! He's not dead?
Get better, Reginald.
Oh, no.
I did that.
Oh, God.
Who was
Oh,
the
God.
who was the celebrity?
No.
Who was the celebrity I did that
no.
for? Like in the first season of the podcast, I did that with somebody.
God damn it. If he dies in a couple days, I'm like never going to forgive myself. Fuck. I thought for sure. Really? Are you... Ooh.
You're thinking James Avery from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, maybe?
I don't think so.
No, that's who you're thinking of.
I wasn't thinking of him.
The other black dad.
No, don't you put that on me.
I did not mean to be racist about that.
Don't
but
you put that on me. I thought Reginald Val Johnson was
I think
dead.
you were thinking of...
How dare you? Don't tell me what... You know what? Listen, I'm really proud of this casting, all right?
Hey, listen, guys. R.I.P. Carl Weathers. Come on. It's pretty fucking funny, though.
Wait, okay, so who did you cast that's living? Like Reginald Val Johnson.
Fuck you. Seriously.
I don't know who fuck you is.
Listen, you know what? I'm glad that I'm wrong, and I'm glad that I was the butt of this joke, because at the end of the day, Carl Winslow's still alive, so...
And so is Carl Weathers.
God damn it. Okay, so... Fuck. I don't know how you rebound from this.
So much for our don't interrupt rule.
I don't know how you rebound from this.
I mean, cast in this is the late, great Scatman Jones.
God damn it. Okay, well. So...
You know you're going to be on the next Slurred
Yeah, I was about to say, this is going to be...
The late Reginald Realm Johnson.
Fuck you,
He's
guys.
not dead. What?
No, it's okay. It's all right, man.
Listen, I'm just glad he's still alive. to
What
be
a
honest
live
with you.
man is going to play this role.
Fuck. Okay, so...
I'm super curious.
Well, listen, Reginald Val Johnson, rest his soul, played many cops. Many cops. And the person here has a Broadway resume and has played several cops.
Charles S. Dutton?
No.
Oh, that'd be a good choice, though. I like that one.
Can he sing?
Well, he's dead, but...
Yeah, he's dead.
Damn it. God damn it. It's Jesse L. Martin.
Oh, Jesse Martin from Rent.
Oh, yeah.
Correct.
From
So
Law and Order.
He's got Law and Order and The Flash.
So, Jesse Martin, I have a picture with Jesse Martin somewhere in my closet, like in my my
really?
bag of pictures.
In his hope chest.
Bag of pictures. You have a bag of pictures?
I literally have a bag of like old
The
photographs.
burlap sack? What?
It's not. It's like a nylon sack.
Wow, okay.
I gotta be honest, ladies and gentlemen, this is my favorite run of the podcast since we've started right now.
I'm glad I could give it to you. I have a feeling this is going to make a best of Last Pint
I'm
Productions
fogging my
presents.
glasses up.
Jesus. Okay, so he'd be awesome.
Yeah, you'd be great.
Right? I got Neil Patrick Harris as Dwayne T. Robinson, the deputy chief of police, who was constantly pushing back
And it's kind of a dick.
on Al Powell.
That's the dude from Breakfast Club.
Correct.
Yeah, Paul Gleason.
Paul Gleason,
Yeah.
correct. Now, you stepped on another one of my castings that I was pretty happy with. Now, this man has a Broadway resume, but not as an actor. As Harry Ellis, the coke fiend trying to get into John McClane's ex-wife's pants, Trey Parker.
Oh, there you go.
I like that.
As Harry Ellis. And introducing Bruno Mars
Yes.
as Argyle, the limousine driver. Also a Matt Shank suggestion.
Who's
Very
playing
good.
Bill Atherton's character?
Well, I thought that was pretty much the gist of the cast, right?
Bill Atherton's like the main...
I have a good idea. How about Bill Atherton?
There you go.
He died 13 years ago. Wait, so there's
No,
no...
Stale, Matt. That joke is fucking stale.
Yeah, Bill Atherton's still alive. Charles
He's
S.
still
Dutton.
alive.
Well,
Charles S.
we
Dutton
might as well be
dead.
talking about Jesus Christ Superstar if you're going to crucify me after every single cast member. Now, it's amazing cast. I mean,
It's a great cast.
the
like
best
the
cast.
cast.
Best cast around. No one can touch my casts. And the songs start off. We got Nakatomi Plaza Overture. Remember that when you sign for the tip. That's really Bruno's chance to shine. It's Gennaro now. the soft ballad, setting the stakes for the first act. Bubby, I'm Your White Knight. Just Trey Parker just let off the leash on that one. Stuck in a vent. Now I've got a machine gun, parentheses, ho, ho, ho.
Is Stuck in the Vent like trapped in the closet?
Well, we can only hope. Come out to the coast. We'll have a few laughs. Mm-hmm. Welcome to the party, pal. Powell's Lament, parentheses, I shot a kid. Stuck in...
Continue, I'm sorry. I shot a kid.
Stuck in the limo. That's a Stuck in the Vent reprise from Argyle again. Terrorists and Tiny Feet. Who said we were terrorists? That's Mandy Patinkin's, show-stopping tune. Then we have intermission. You Couldn't Drag Me Away, which is Jesse Martin's. That's Powell's big headbutting moment with Neil Patrick Harris. Shoot the Glass. Happy Trails, Hans. Oh God, I Hope That's Not a Hostage. That's Neil Patrick Harris's one song. And then, of course, the finale, Yippee-Ki-Yay, Motherfucker.
Neil Patrick Harris's one song, Oh God, I Hope That's Not a Hostage. I never thought I would hear those words ever uttered.
Because he's gonna be a complimentary character. He's obviously capable of headlining a show, but we have an insane cast for Die Hard the musical.
So this is
we can't fit everybody in.
So this is all amazing. Now, one of the things that I maybe completely misunderstood is I thought we were talking about a movie musical, not just a straight up musical.
Oh, see, I went to do a stage show. I took mine to make it. It's fine. That's fine.
Mine would work as a stage show. It's just I thought of things a little
you
structured.
better start changing some of your staging. Right
I guess
now.
I better.
Well, if it's anything like the Rent movie musical, you better rent a crane because that's every other shot. Every other shot.
Directed by
Chris Columbus,
who's the fucking
who directed the Harry Potter
fucking ruined that.
and the Mrs. Doubtfire and the Home Alone.
Do you think Chris Columbus is a good director? Just wondering.
Will you snuff my candle?
Do I think he's a talented filmmaker with a unique artistic eye? No. Do I think he makes very
Good casting choices?
Do I think he makes entertaining, watchable movies? Yes. Did you not watch Home Alone like 100 times when you were a kid?
When I was a kid, yeah.
Yeah.
That's all John Hughes.
That's John Hughes.
But he directed it. Chris Columbus directed.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
and
and Henry Selick directed Nightmare Before Christmas.
yes,
Okay,
exactly.
Dude, no.
Tim
Columbus.
Aberton.
Did you not? So you hate Mrs. Doubtfire?
No, Mr. Doubtfire's fine.
Mrs. Doubtfire is a
Love
fun,
Mrs. Doubtfire.
funny fucking
Well,
movie.
that's a good one. The title track. Hello.
All right, we're not going to devolve into a Chris Columbus. I thought this would be the one we didn't have a debate on.
Actually, you know what? Actually, Mrs. Doubtfire is one of those why hasn't that been a musical?
Exactly. No,
Really, think
Do it
about
like
it.
Mary Poppins.
Think about the role Robin Williams has, but in the context of a musical, the guy running backstage to get his quick costume change
it makes perfect
into
sense.
into Mrs. Doubtfire, and then
What
back
if
and
We
forth.
could be gazillionaires. Let's
That
just
would be
Hold on,
amazing.
but what if we do Mrs. Doubtfire, but we cast a woman,
There
an
you go.
old woman as Mrs. Doubtfire, and a young comedian as
my
that,
God.
and we pretend they're the same, but it's a dual-led film.
Mrs. Surefire.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
Judi Dench as Mrs. Doubtfire,
Dame
and
Judi Dench.
and Kevin Hart as Daniel. I don't know why you're laughing at that.
I would like to say-
clearly you're not as involved as
I
me.
would like to formally suggest.
Fuck you.
I would like to formally.
Really? God damn it.
I would like to formally suggest Kevin Pollak as
damn
as
it.
him and Helen Mirren as Mrs. Doubtfire. So let's
You
just
can
do
go
it.
that, but I'm going to do my Kevin Hart, Judi Dench one. It's going to blow yours out of the water
yeah,
because
it's
no
true.
one's not tuning into that one.
If people are progressive enough to accept a black Mrs. Doubtfire, it's gonna be great, asshole. Fuck you.
It's gonna be great.
I just love the difference in their cadence. It's going to be so very different. It's going to be beautiful, beautiful show. Well, Nick, that was wonderful. I want to watch this musical.
Yeah,
I think we have a good idea.
I'd be there.
Of everything there. So,
Oh, hey guys, Reginald Val Johnson is dead.
wait a minute. Reginald Val Johnson has risen from the grave.
Jesus, Reginald Val Johnson.
Okay, so anything else you want to do on your musical? You're good?
I'm quite
You
done.
putting yours to bed?
I'm quite done.
All right, so mine should.
Let's see if you can do any better, you son of a bitch.
Oh, mine is. I warned you guys before. You're going to hear some of the worst music you have ever heard in your entire lives, right?
That's
So-
not true.
Until you hear mine.
We grew up listening to Nickelback in Tallahassee in
This is way
2003.
sub Nickelback. I wish I was at Nickelback levels, but my choice.
Wait, real quick. Can we do the Hero song with the harmonies?
But no.
Real quick, can we just try it?
No.
We've never tried it before.
No. We're not doing that here on this podcast.
And they say that a hero can save us. Come on.
No.
Come on.
Okay.
I'm invested in Matt's
All right.
opinion here.
So
and what he's gonna-
mine should come as no surprise to you guys of what I chose to turn into a musical. It's my favorite movie of all time, and it lends itself very easily to a musical, and that is The Princess Bride. Yep, of course.
I
right?
knew
Great.
it was coming.
Would be great.
So, my staging for this is fairly simple. We're going to have a nice little bedroom set for the grandson and the grandfather, and that piece of stage is going to move
On
left.
loan from Kathy Rigby's production of Peter Pan.
Correct. It's going to move left, stage right, as we need it to, with the action of the story taking place on the main side of it, right?
That's great.
So we open on the bedroom of this young boy who's homesick from school, played by Stranger Things Gaten Matarazzo.
He's dead, Matt.
He's still very much alive and a little boy, you monster. And his grandfather...
I'm still alive.
His grandfather, Run Ronnie Runs, Mandy Patinkin, tying it back to the original Princess Bride. And he reads him a book and begins the opening number, which is called The Princess Bride. And so dancers come out. We do this kind of preview of the show. The dancers do a little sword fighting, some, pirate ship stuff. And then we cut into our main story, where Buttercup, played by My Little Pony, the movie's Emily Blunt,
Almost cast her.
is growing up on a farm in the country of Florin, right? And she's there's no way to say it other than she's a bitch to the farm boy on there.
That's blunt.
Played by Night at the Museum 3's Dan Stevens, who is a young Carrie Elwes, 100%.
Sure.
I mean, he's perfect for it. Where she keeps ordering him around, and he answers her only with "As You Wish," which is his way of telling her he loves her. And this begins our first ballad from the show. I was just your farm boy, and you didn't see me clearly, didn't understand what I meant by "as you wish." Then one day it was clear, and I knew you shared the feeling. Yes, I knew that you loved me too. Oh, as you wish. Hold on to your seatbelts, kids, here for this part.
You were my father,
Wow.
but now are so much more to me. I love you, my sweet, lovely Wesley. Oh, please don't go.
But unfortunately, go he must, and he sets off for his fortune in order to be able to pay for their wedding.
Did you cast Brittany, Jeanette, or Eleanor in the role of...
I
It
thought
sounded very Chapette-esque.
Emily Blunt is a triple threat. That's the most beautiful singing voice
Who
I've
is
ever
that?
heard.
What's the name of that actress who's like in Poltergeist who passed away? Versus you.
Heather O'Rourke?
This house is clean.
I can't even tell. Did she really die or not?
She actually really did
Okay.
die.
There's a few of them that actually died.
You know what I like the most about it? Is no one interrupted the most interesting part.
I liked that my clip was only 60 seconds long. But we move on, right? So Wesley is presumed dead at sea after he goes out to get his fortune. And we cut to 5 years later where Buttercup is agreed to marry Humperdinck, played by the Princess Diaries 2's Chris Pine. And he is the Prince of Florin. But before the wedding, she encounters a trio of bandits. A Sicilian boss named
Wait, who is
Vizzini.
Chris Pine?
God damn.
Chris Pine is Humperdinck.
Fuck you.
Oh.
So there's a Sicilian boss named Vizzini, played by Big Mama's House's Paul Giamatti. a giant named Fezzik, played by the only good thing from Spectre, Dave Bautista, and a Spanish master swordsman.
I still vote for Jason Segel as Andre the Giant.
I did almost consider it. I was so close to doing it. I couldn't.
Everybody just type Jason Segel, Andre the Giant in your Google search.
Mint chocolate chip. Too minty.
Too minty.
It's good shit.
And then a Spanish master swordsman played by Oscar. I went to high school a mile from where we're recording this podcast, Isaac.
Yep.
Who is the only Inigo Montoya we could
No,
possibly
actually,
have.
Oscar Isaac pretty much is the only person who I would actually pick and be like, yeah,
Yep.
that guy could play like
Dan Stevens, I think, is a perfect Wesley, though, too. That's my other slam
He's a
dunk.
beast.
This is true. And the master swordsman seeking who he believes to be a henchman with 6 fingers, but we think he might be wrong. So they explain their plan to kidnap Buttercup in Oh My Most Beauteous Lady, which we're going to get just a clip of, and we're going to hear Matt's Paul Giamatti, which is not very good. Oh, my most beauteous lady, oh, we have to say. Lost circus performers, we 3 have just lost our way.
I'm sorry to say that
Jesus.
town's far away.
We're not what we seem, they won't hear you scream. And with that, they kidnap Buttercup and they take her on a voyage. We have a
Goddamn.
brief kind of a fun song, other than these very serious ones we've been listening to so far, called the rhyming song between Inigo and Fezzik as they set sail. Now, we have a great moment here where they set sail to kidnap Buttercup. And we have Humperdinck is following them to get his bride. And we have a mysterious man in black also following them. And they're racing towards this sheer cliff face where they sing this group number of everybody in the show called the Cliffs of Insanity as they all race to get there. And Vicini and Fezzik and Inigo, they all get there first. And they race up to the top with Buttercup. And Vicini tells Fezzik and Inigo to kill the man in black. So we have a great song called The Duel between Inigo and the man in black as they duel to the death, although the man in black spares him. And then we have another song between the Giant and Wesley called Sportsmanlike, which in my head I sang too popular because it has the same number of syllables, so it's easy to do. And then finally, the man in black faces down Vicini
Unsportsmanlike.
to have, yes, exactly, to have a battle of wits. When you had bested my swordsman and overpowered the giant too, I felt I'd done all that I can to finally vanquish you. Yet you are no match for my brains, a moron just like Socrates. The princess in my grip remains unless you challenge me. Battle of wits. Battle of wits, a foolish test to even try. You either win or you will die. And that's exactly what Vicini does when he loses the Battle of Wits and dies. And so Buttercup is now reunited with the man in black, who turns out to be her long-lost Wesley. And they begin to do a rousing, another version of As You Wish, which I will spare you all from listening to again, when they're interrupted by Prince Humperdinck and they have to escape into the evil fire swamp. Now, I was torn here. Do we do a fire swamp number? And I said, no, what's more interesting is Wesley's story about the Dread Pirate Roberts. So we have this big number where he tells the story of going to work for the Dread Pirate Roberts, which allows a lot of company on stage on there. They get done, and they get out of the fire swamp only to be captured by Humperdinck and his six-fingered henchwoman, Count Rugen, played by Cate Blanchett.
I knew it. I knew it was Cate Blanchett playing.
You're so progressive, Matt.
That's right. And they kidnap him and they take him down to the albino, played by Waterworld's Jack Black. And they're into the pit of despair, which is where we end Act 1, in this pit of despair with, we see all of our characters in their different places, and we end, and the grandfather says, let's take a break, because you're getting a little worked up, and we go to Act 1. Act 2.
Quick question. Are you gonna have the eels, the screaming eels, with the boat set in the
I'm
water?
not, but I have a better moment. You're
That would
you're
be
right
really
on it.
great, though.
I thought about it. Well, that's the Cliffs of Insanity, is them all racing, so we could have some eels in there, I think. So we go to Act 2 and we open up, and Buttercup is married to Humperdinck. We don't know what's happened. The grandson's very concerned, and the people of the town are very upset, and they strike back at her as such.
your true love lives and you marry this guy. True love saved her in the fire swamp, it's true. The queen of refuse treats him like garbage. So bow down to her, queen of filth and rubbish too. Boo! Boo! The queen of putrescence and slime! Boo! Boo! She must pay for her heinous crime! Boo! Boo! Buttercup's not a queen, easy to see. Just queen of the garbage who betrayed Wesley. Humperdinck's oblivious with his villainy. The people must agree with me.
But it turns out all to be a dream, and they're still days before the wedding. So the albino and Rugen introduce the torture machine in the pit of despair to suck all of Wesley's life away. And we go through a lot of business at that point. We meet up back with Inigo and Fezzik. They're upset. Buttercup's upset because Wesley's been drained of his life and he appears to be dead. So there's Buttercup and Inigo's lament happens at this point. But then we find ourselves with Inigo and Fezzik have taken the Man in Black to Miracle Max's, played by Life on a Stick's Nick Offerman, and his wife, Valerie, played by his real-life wife and Fish Police's Megan Mullally. And they do a nice soft shoe number called Mostly Dead, which we don't have any clips from there, thank God. So,
Oh, really?
we now
You're going
head...
to tease us with a Nick
Yes.
Offerman Mullally duet, and you're not going to...
I cast them very late in the game, and my early attempts were poor. So,
How dare you.
So now we head into really what is the crux of the end of the show, which I picture to be a very Les Miserables end of Act 1 barricade scene with 4 different songs competing for what's going on. One is a small song where the priest is trying to marry Humperdinck and Buttercup. The song is called Marriage, and it's played by Mystery Men's Eddie Izzard is the guy there. And then we have Fezzik, who's dressed up as this giant version of the Dread Pirate Roberts, who reprises the Dread Pirate Roberts theme that we heard earlier in the Fire Swamp. And then we have Inigo, who is now met up with the henchwoman, the woman with 6 fingers, and he sings her this song as they duel.
Oh, my name is Inigo Montoya, for you killed my father, and so now you will prepare to die, you 6-fingered bastard. Offer me all that I ask for. I just want my father back. Die now, you son of a bitch.
And with that, he kills Count Rugen, and finally we find ourselves in the marriage suite.
Who's Inigo again?
Oscar Isaac.
That's right.
Yes. This is not how he sounds. I recorded that before I cast him. I just need to do a Don Quixote song because it's in my range. So, and we finally get to Wesley in the honeymoon suite where Buttercup is about to kill herself and he stops her, and then Humperdinck comes in, and Wesley doesn't have the strength, but he pretends, singing the song, I Have the Strength.
Oh, I was about to say, is the song called Drop Your Sword? Because that would be
That is
fucking
exactly
great.
what my first version of it was called Drop Your Sword, but I thought that was more, I wanted I Have the Strength to be his internal
I
ballad
understand.
on there.
Matt-
I literally wrote that, the Drop Your Sword.
Matt wanted to go with the weaker of the two options.
This is
Just to
entirely
mix it up.
this is how I make things good. And so at this point, everyone's been vanquished, and Buttercup and Wesley and Inigo and Fezzik, they get on the 4 white horses, and we sing the final number, As You Wish, but it's now the grandson and the grandfather and all of our company, and the grandson says, hey, will you come back and read it again to me tomorrow? And Mandy Patinkin says, as you wish. And that is our show.
I have another ending, alternate ending. Can I pitch it?
You can.
And he goes, Grandpa, was this based on real characters? And with a knowing wink, Mandy Patinkin looks at the crowd and goes, perhaps.
Is this a remake? Shut up. So that is the Princess Bride musical.
And so you built this whole thing up where you said you made
Yeah.
shitty music, and
You
that
know
was
what? Fuck you.
perfectly fine.
Also,
and
for the-
actually
okay, by the
way
way-
more competent than mine.
Okay, I want to set this up a little bit, okay? So, Ben goes, I need an extra week to prepare my songs. And Matt, through text, through phone calls, oh, you guys, you're going to make this operatic masterpiece, and I wasn't ever in a band, I can't do it. And he has a clipboard clipboard full of notes, a
notes
masterful
are just a
presentation,
plot.
a masterful presentation. He hit every note. He's
mean, it was-
on key. He sounded your
which
vibrato,
which
Close.
is not the same for mine.
your vibrato
I'm
was
close.
on point.
My Eleanor
And,
was.
listen, all I'm saying, Matt, all I'm saying is you fucking brought it. And
It
bravo.
was great.
Tried.
Bravo.
It was very good.
I,
The whole thing
I was very
really
concerned
well done.
about how the high pitched Buttercup was going
So
to work.
here's
but-
one thing I can say before I even get into mine. I did all of my vocal takes in one try. No redo. No
One
redo.
take, Wilson.
One take at 6 a.m. in the morning. And notes that I usually hit did not come out, but I just said, fuck it, it's a podcast, nobody's listening. And so there are
Wow.
3 or 4 times
Commitment
where
to excellence.
I absolutely do not get anywhere near the note I'm supposed to hit. And I was just like, you know what? I'll keep it raw.
If there's time at the end, I will play my original Battle of Wits. Yeah. Hold on. Really? You sure?
So, anyways, what I was basically just saying is that
Without any pause.
I am off key multiple times.
What Ben actually just did was very much to say he only spent like 10 seconds on these things. I, on the other hand,
No.
took 30 to 40 takes to get the shittiness that you just heard right there. So
I mean this. I didn't one take. The thing that took me the longest thing was actually selecting the songs, because I also use existing properties, existing songs. I wasn't going to write my own thing.
I wrote all of my numbers from
and
scratch.
so I actually
I wrote and recorded all my music from scratch.
my
You did, actually, didn't you?
yes, he did.
Yeah, you
That's
did.
because Nick's a talented motherfucker and he can do that.
I stole from existing things.
I recycled it from an album I released several years ago. But moving on.
Well, but so the reason why I did what I did, and this is all a preface to my actual, talking about what I'm doing, is I've always really enjoyed rock operas that are diametrically opposed musically to what they are content. For example, I really like Spring Awakening. And I like Spring Awakening because it's this, for those who haven't seen it or don't know about it, it involves a bunch of 15-year-old kids, basically, and they're in boarding school or whatever. And it takes place in 1886, I believe. And so, what's going on here?
I'm gesturing. I think I can hear that thing shaking.
Oh, yeah, I can't.
That is what I was hearing. So
Yeah.
that thing was starting to vibrate. You can just take it off of there if you want. Or
Anyways, so
sorry.
I really like Spring Awakening because it's this period piece involving kids and this boarding school that takes place in the late 1800s, but the music is kind of like emo, but it makes sense because it's like these kids and they're like all angsty and it's just
Where
like,
are you?
I mean, but seriously,
Left
it's
me
like,
roses boiled stairs.
by the way, it's funny that you said Duncan Sheik earlier, like before we even got on the podcast, because Duncan Sheik did all the music for Spring Awakening.
He sure did.
But so I always
That
thought,
was Leah Michelle, right? She started.
yeah. That was her
And Groff.
first gig.
And Groff.
And
Jonathan Groff.
Jonathan Groff.
Jonathan Groff was in.
Who's the guy from the newsroom?
Oh, that dude. Yeah. I know who you're talking about. I forget his name though.
He was
shit. And he's in
Melky. He
Belko.
was Melky.
Yeah.
He was Melchior. He was the guy who won the Tony.
Yeah.
For Melchior and Spring Awakening back in 2008. Anyways, I always liked the idea of doing like an emo or like pop punk musical, but setting it in a period time frame. And trying to find some sort of like a fun, happy medium where this would work.
I have a feeling you pitched this to me before, but I'm not.
I might have.
I think you might have.
So,
Can I guess?
Yes, please do.
Is it an interview with a vampire?
It is Interview with a
Okay,
Vampire.
that's what I thought.
And so, unfortunately, Nick
By the way, my
Sancroci...
two choices were What We Do in the Shadows or Interview with the Vampire. I was like, I want to hear either of these musicals. I don't know which one it's going to
So
be.
Nick has never seen Interview with a Vampire, the movie, and he's never read the book, the 1976 book by Anne Rice, which was
Book's older than me.
was the start of the Vampire Chronicles. So, anyways, you can go ahead and start Interlude right now.
Interlude.
So I populated this musical with songs all published between 2000 and 2005. Pop punk to kind of emo punk to progressive metal.
Coheed?
This is Coheed. And this is...
Jesus.
This is the interlude.
My
This
balls
is like...
just vibrated.
This is what happens before the curtains even open. And it's...
The
So this is
orchestra's
just
warming up.
gonna interview that vampire now, right?
So,
Please turn off your cell phones and pagers. Filling in for Tom Cruise is standby.
The performance will begin in 5 minutes.
Lights are flashing. Get your Coca-Cola in the lobby.
Unwrap your candies at intermission like a normal human being.
so anyways, I wanted something that was a little gothic, a little dark, something to really kind of like completely like give it some fucking nuts. Because ultimately it is also kind of funny. I wanted something that is going to be lighthearted, that's going to embrace kind of the just how ridiculous it is to have like a pop punk musical.
I mean, I'm erect. Like, I'm ready for this musical right
now.
You sounded great in that track too, Ben.
Oh yeah,
You were
of
right
course.
on key.
No, that was the one. You
Wasn't
were
that in that-
spared.
Wasn't that in that claymation? Was it
Ben,
Seven? Was it?
Ben
So-
downloaded
so-
that track at 6 a.m. in the morning on his first
So-
try.
so-
The
so
internet
True.
didn't cut
He
out.
had that left over from LimeWire.
So
and
for those
Kazaa.
who don't know, in an interview with a vampire, the whole thing is about a young journalist basically who gets confronted by this individual, goes to a room, and he tells him the story of his life, his 247-year-old life, which is how long he's been alive because he's a vampire. Of course, the kid doesn't believe him, the journalist doesn't believe him.
Wait,
but
interview
yeah,
with
stop.
a vampire.
yes, that's what it's called. Oh my god.
It's not just a fancy
So
name.
he begins telling his story, how he lost his brother. Well, in the book, he lost his brother. In the movie, he lost his
Virginity.
his wife and daughter.
Yeah.
Which was
on the plantation.
which was a different thing. It
Yeah.
was his brother was a preacher in the book, and that was he lost his brother, and that was what kind of sent him into this spiraling downhill, like gambling and drinking and just whatever. And he wanted death, and so he happens upon the vampire Lestat, who finds him interesting and turns him into one of the undead. And the song "Vampire" is well, go ahead and the name of the band is not lost on me either, but yes. I'm feeling utter malaise and I'm not doing just fine. I gotta leave town before I eat someone. It's something I get to kiss. How did it end up like this? I'm searching for bliss. I swear I thought this was bliss. Now the blood in my veins won't let me turn my back, and the hunger it pains, and the courage I lack, and my stomach is sick, and the stat will attest that it's all in my head, but I can't let it rest. And now, red on her dress, now making me know. This way. I swear this thirst is killing me. It's taking control. Heresy, giving way to remedy. Eating rats is not a life. Choking on my So here I go. I don't hit the note.
But it's just the price I pay. Destiny's calling me. Open up my evil eyes. Cause I'm just a vampire.
So this is him coming to terms with the fact that he is a vampire. And
You've written the only one of these musicals my mom would actually watch.
Oh, but Mary wouldn't see Die Hard the
So
musical?
She loves Interview with the Vampire. I play that song for her. My mom. That's it. That's it.
Did you wish her a happy birthday on Facebook?
I think, well, did I? I'm not sure.
Huh, I did.
Anyways,
I
just
wished
saying,
your mom a happy birthday. on
so
Facebook.
You don't think your mom would listen to my music?
Probably not. She's not a big Die Hard fan because who makes her watch? You never. Well, I'll tell you at the end of the podcast. Continue.
So Louis
Number one.
So Louis and Lestat become companions once Louis actually embraces the fact that he is a vampire. He has to kill, as opposed to just feeding off of rats or horses or whatever to gain sustenance. They become partners and they begin moving through life. And there's a really terrible scene where they happen upon a girl whose mother just died of the plague.
Kirsten Dunst.
And Kirsten Dunst plays Claudia in the movie, and
terrible real story of what that character is based on, which is
it's-
Anne Rice's
it was
kid.
Anne Rice's kid who had leukemia, who died when she was 6, which is really this terrible. I mean, like that's how Anne Rice literally immortalized her daughter. Or
in a
immortalized.
book, basically, so I will make a version of my daughter that can live.
They
forever.
can live forever, and so
then Kirsten Dunst Oscar will live forever.
right.
Yes.
But basically,
Way to pick it up.
It's a pretty. Anyways, they go as a threesome, not as a threesome.
Threesome.
Okay.
But as a trio, they begin moving through different cities or whatever. But as she becomes an intelligent woman, because she's lived for 30 or 40 years, she realizes she's stuck in this like prepubescent child's body. She begins to hate Lestat for turning her into a vampire, and she attempts to kill him. She slits his throat. She doesn't really succeed because he comes back. And this is the scene where he confronts both of them, Louis and Claudia, and that song is...
There's one just called Number One.
No, that's the last one.
Okay. Eternal?
Eternal, yes. So this is done to the song Bleed American by Jimmy
I almost
World.
made a Jimmy Eat World joke just now. Oh, damn it.
This is Lestat singing, and he's just very pissed off at them.
We're not alone because we're living right here.
Little echo there, nice.
Sounds like Ben Wilson.
I'm not crazy because we're feeding right here.
He'd be a good
Every
Lestat.
day. So try to clear your conscience and suspend your infantile judgment.
Harmony.
See the world for exactly here and now. Some show sugar in the ashes, played out charades and dereliction. Your soul to me will own eternal. Some things you have shown. So
So he's basically telling them, fuck off. Like, I gave you both eternal life. So it's kind of a very emo whatever. And then...
Did Beth get mad at you that you were wailing at 6 a.m. to this?
Yeah, where are the parts
Yes.
where you suck at the music? Because all I'm hearing is great harmony and things like
I
that.
was
that we're
harmonizing
doing in a
live.
million
No,
years.
he was harmonizing. He was the one who was doing the harmonies.
Oh.
Of course,
That's right.
if you hear harmonies,
do it live!
If you hear harmonies creeping at any point, it's definitely Nixon encroaching. So, anyways,
I'm only a backing musician.
they burn the house down, and Louis and Claudia leave thinking that Lestat is dead, and they go to Paris. They go to a bunch of places, and they're a duo. They act like they're father and daughter wherever they go. However, they have a very weird relationship.
This would be a Conor Oberst song?
No. So, anyways, they come upon this coven of vampires in Paris because they've been looking for their own kind and they haven't really found any. And they come upon like a giant coven and they run this big theater. And the theater is...
They got a coven in Paris and they're going...
Well, the
theater is run by Antonio Banderas.
well, in the movie, it's Antonio Banderas, which is...
Banderas.
what's
his name? Armand.
His name's in the song.
His name's in a book.
So anyways,
his own book.
I'm gonna get to the casting after I do all the songs, but
super curious about
Armand
that.
is the oldest vampire alive, or what he says he thinks he's the oldest vampire alive, and so they join this coven for a little bit, and then realize that things are a little bit off, but things become very off when Lestat shows up and basically tells, this is the book, tells all of them what Claudia and Louis did to him back in New Orleans. And everything goes to complete shit. And so Lestat has a moment of glee. And it's a moment of sorrow and a moment of glee because he's killing his creations. But he's an evil...
He's getting revenge.
He's getting
on what
revenge.
yeah.
So you can play number one. Which,
Number one.
Number
It's
one.
If you
correct.
cast Leah Michelle in it, she could have a
because
moment of glee.
Louis was his number one. And so this is another, like, so this is Lestat singing again, and this is Lestat singing because what they've done to punish Louis is they've locked him in a dungeon and put him in a sarcophagus and locked it so he starves for eternity.
Is this more than you bargained for? Well, I can tell you that I told you so. Is that too bleak? You tried to burn me dead last week, running around in this here mausoleum. My mom's got your interest, but nothing will keep me at bay. Stop your mark and play the game. Gotta say this time you were playing for the wrong team. We're going down, down in this crypt underground, and Louis, you're going down screaming. I'll send your humanity to ruin. You done fucked up, but you already know it. You're going downtown in a crypt underground. Hungry and cold while I'm beaming. Maybe we'll kill Armand while I do it.
So,
You want a good joke,
So,
you
yeah.
walk, go through it.
so the whole thing is basically, so anyways, Armand actually ends up freeing them, although Claudia ends up dying with a girl that they just recently turned into a vampire, Maddie. They get locked in a courtyard and the sun comes out, whatever. So Louis, after seeing all of this death, goes off on his own basically, and becomes a loner and just starts feasting on people, random people during the night, becoming a person of the shadows, whatever. Anyways, for those who know the end of whatever, so you get an idea, and I have a bunch of other songs that were potentials, because originally I thought about populating this very modern pop songs, but I like the idea of going back and doing kind of the emo thing a little bit more.
It's interesting, especially if you change like kind of the years of when it's happening and stuff. It could be kind of cool. But
right,
I
exactly.
want to hear the casting. I'm super excited about this.
My casting, and we did have one crossover.
Jason Segel.
So my
Chris Pine is playing
Lis-
Louis.
No. Chris Pine is actually playing Lestat. Now he has the like that bravado, that very like big kind of presence, and is very menacing if he wants to be. Like he could come across as very menacing,
But also charming at the same time.
But also very charming and very well spoken or whatever. Now here's what I'm going to get
Too
fucking
bad
slaughtered for.
he's in my music.
Louis,
but that's fine.
played by Zac Efron, guy who can sing, a guy who can play. Okay, he's rolling his eyes.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's
See,
Zac Efron.
I like Zac Efron.
I have zero problem with Zac Efron as Louis. This is the role. All right.
Okay.
Let me
Let me just move on to Armand.
I would
so he stops-
rather have Louis Anderson play as Louis.
Zac Efron's is.
Let's stop.
He's dead.
Okay, so how about
God damn it. He's not dead.
Armand?
He is dead.
He's on Basket. Did he die?
No.
Armand?
Damn it.
I can't do Claudia because Claudia is supposed to be so young. I don't know any
The
actresses.
girl that's in
right
Matilda. I don't know who the girl is, but it's
Whoever
whoever's
is
in
Matilda.
Whoever's Matilda is playing Claudia.
Sure, that's
Right.
perfectly fine.
the
Armand-
girl from Logan sing?
11 from Stranger Things.
Oh,
she
that
can
would,
sing.
that would actually be pretty
She'd
good.
be a pretty good one.
What's her name?
I don't know.
You don't
Joe
even
Billy?
know her name.
It's
Billy something. Bobby Brown. Billy Bobby Brown.
Billy Bobby Brown.
I'm not kidding. I think it's Billy Bobby Brown.
It's like
It's
like
something
not
Bobby Brown.
Billy, though.
It's something Bobby
No,
Brown.
it is Bobby Brown. Something Bobby Brown, but it's not Billy. I don't think.
It's Billy Bobby Brown.
It's your prerogative to
And-
get that name wrong.
and Armand played by Whitney Houston. No. No, but seriously, Armand.
Wait,
played,
she is
be
dead.
Oscar Isaac.
Armand played by Gael Garcia Bernal.
Ooh.
Didn't go with Hamilton, huh? Didn't go with.
No.
I was real close
I
with
thought
Inigo
someone was gonna
to
go
do
Lin-Manuel.
Lin-Manuel.
Yeah, I mean maybe, but I just really like because Gael Garcia Bernal has
Dwayne
actually
The Rock
done
Johnson.
done stage productions before, and it is pretty good. And then The Kid, or it's known as The Kid in the book. In the movie, Christian Slater plays the journalist interviewer. Funny story, originally supposed to be played by River Phoenix, and they had to cast him 3 weeks before shooting started because he...
Thank
Yeah,
God
yeah,
he's
yeah.
still alive.
What? Womp, womp,
By the way,
womp.
it's Millie Bobby Brown. I was so
Millie
close.
Bobby
I was
Brown.
so close.
Well, you're close
Go.
phonetically.
So you're gonna do as the kid.
As The Kid, and I was kind of flipping around, but I like
Millie the Kid.
Miles Teller.
It's so funny because my first thought was Jay Baruchel. So a similar
No,
mold.
but
He can't
similar
sing,
mold.
though.
But
Can Jay Baruchel can't sing.
I don't know.
Miles Teller can sing.
Miles Teller can sing.
But
so.
can he sing Fallout Boy?
It's interesting though. They're very similar.
Well, Miles Teller would actually only be involved in one song in this thing, and that would be at the very end, because what happens at the very end of Interview with a Vampire is...
I've never seen it. so.
Right, exactly.
Well, you're about to find out.
Is Louis...
La, la, la,
Louis
la, la.
denies turning him into a vamp because he's like, have you not been listening to this entire story? We've been talking for hours, and I've told you this is misery. Like, this is the worst existence ever. And he's like, you have powers, you have extra human strength, you can see things nobody else can see, and you're immortal. Anybody would want to be who you are. And Louis attacks him and says, basically, fuck you. And so, in the book, the kid, or the journalist, whatever, goes off to find Lestat, knowing that Lestat's the only other vampire that he knows about in North America, to see if Lestat will turn him into a vampire. In the movie, I don't want to spoil it for you because it's a great ending.
It's a very different ending, yes.
It's a very,
All right.
very different ending. But a very kind of fun, cool ending.
Yeah, it's a very... If I was like, I'm going to adapt this into a film, what do I do to really shake things up at the end? Oh, I got it.
Oh, I got it. Yeah, exactly. So, but I really liked Miles Teller in that role. And that's really all I
And
have.
I like
with
Pine.
those
I like
principles.
Pine in the casting on that one as well. I like all the casting all around for all of these. They were good
it's
things.
fun.
No,
I mean, he hates Efron, obviously, but... So the thing is, I like the reason why I like Zac Efron in that role is because Zac Efron still can play innocent and young because Louis is supposed to be like 19, and
He's like hopped up on steroids right now.
Well, it doesn't matter.
it-
Here's why I like the casting, because there was the same issue with Brad Pitt in the original, and everyone's like, "Oh, you cast this fucking pretty boy that's done Cool World and like nothing else."
Don't
and he's
you
just
dare
he's just a
speak ill
fucking
about Cool World.
He's a model, and he has nothing going. And that was his. It was his role. It's the role that someone that's a poor, downtrodden, looks so handsome person to take and say, "Hey, I've got the chops to do something more." Because it has
I
to be.
agree.
It's got to be this pretty,
I
beautiful
just
creature.
because
hate that-
that's the reason why Lestat falls in love with him because he's
Yeah.
like, this is the most beautiful creature I've ever put my and like won't let him die.
Zac
No,
Efron.
it's true. No, it literally, that is.
I get it.
Honestly, one of the only choices I can think of on there, other than maybe Chris Pine, which I thought maybe you're going that way with it.
No.
To make miss it, but you're right. He's better as cocky than he is
it makes
as,
me sick.
Ingenue.
It makes me sick that Zac Efron is taking food off of the plate of some other young,
Oh, for
beautiful young man,
God's sake. For
unproven,
God's sake.
hungry talent.
Anyways, well, so that was fun.
I think that was
was good.
pretty fucking
That was awesome.
fantastic.
You guys killed it.
Did you guys like it?
You killed it,
You
dude.
killed it. We all killed it.
You guys killed it.
I mean, you killed Rachel Val Johnson prematurely, but I think we all
Put
killed
the countdown clock on. I'm waiting. R.I.P. tomorrow.
He's kind of old though, isn't he? Like this. This sucks.
You're like, it would just be a coincidence.
By the way, Nick,
It doesn't matter if it happens-
he is actually dead.
Really?
No.
I was like, I don't care if it's
fuck you, Matt.
I don't care if it's 9 years from now. As soon as that happened, I'm just gonna text Nick and be like, "It's your fault."
I want you guys to tune in next week for our podcast about Dead or Not Dead, where we debate whether or not actors that we think are dead are actually dead or not. Abe Vigoda, dead or not dead, Nick? That's
Dead.
a good Star Wars. Yeah, he is actually finally dead. A lot of people won some money this year. Anyway, I hope you guys. Okay, that's not.
That was Star Wars. I can do it.
I heard
I can
it.
do it.
Yes, it was very, very accurate.
I could do it.
We thank you so much for joining us. We hope that you were as entertained by our musicals as we clearly were about one another's musicals. I gotta be honest. Your opening, Vampire, is my favorite from the ones tonight of the songs. Because I'm like, yeah, I would watch that show. I would watch that show if you used Vampire with that music. It's the one like did they just use that song? Like, yeah, I would totally watch that. That makes me happy. But and my mom will sit and actually watch it with me. Hoot will not be a fan.
Of course.
At all. And I'll remind you, whenever we were talking about something about Hoot earlier. Oh, Die Hard. I will remind you, Nick, of why Hoot will watch your musical in an absolute second.
At least I got Hoot.
Well, actually, for everyone listening, we got 60 seconds here. Hoot is a huge fan of Die Hard. One Christmas, I got him a Blu-ray that had all 4 of the original I'm sorry, yeah, it was all 4 Die Hards
Even
on
Live
it.
Free
I think
or
I had
Die
the
Hard?
Live Free. And Hoot just shouted out, number 1, number 3, number 2. All he knew them by was just the number of them. He's like, nah, I don't like that one. Number 2. And I'm like, oh, you don't like number 3, huh? He's like, nope. I'm like, oh, yeah, that one makes sense to me.
Number 1.
And by the way, if you guys want to rent a movie, rent Song to Song by Terrence Malick, starring
Hoot Gibson.
starring Ryan Gosling, Kate Blanchett, Rooney Mara, Natalie Portman,
Reginald Val Johnson.
David Fassbender, and introducing
Scatman
in pajamas Hoot Gibson.
That's amazing.
We thank you so much for listening. We hope you guys continue to tune in. You've not just said, fuck this podcast, we're done.
After that dazzling display.
After that dazzling, I mean, I think we've given goal. I think, honestly, someone's going to go make one of our musicals.
And they all say, oh, well, there never was there ever a podcast so clever as other the New Way Podcast.
Okay, that's enough of that, kids. Thank you so much for listening. We'll talk to you on the flip side. Peace.